My eldest son Liam started sleepwalking when he was about 8 or 9. At first I thought it was just a phase. Kids do weird things in their sleep. But it wasn't just the walking. It was the way he moved, like something else was guiding him. Most nights I'd wake up and find him standing outside my bedroom, shifting his weight from foot to foot, his eyes wide open but empty. If you've ever lived with a sleepwalker, you know what I mean. Their gaze isn't really seeing you, it's looking past you, beyond you, into something you can't see. One night I woke up to a strange tapping sound. Slow, rhythmic, like dripping water. Only, it wasn't raining. It took me a while to place the noise. It was coming from the hallway. I got up, stepped out into the dim light, and saw Liam. He was facing the wall, his forehead knocking against it in slow, measured taps. His fingers grazed the surface like he was trying to push through. I whispered his name. He didn't react. He just kept pressing, knocking, pressing, like something was calling him from the other side. I shook him gently. He blinked, looked at me with those vacant, glassy eyes, and let me guide him back to bed. He never remembered any of it in the morning. It happened a few more times, but eventually, he grew out of it, or so I thought. Years later, my younger son Ethan started doing the exact same thing. The same hallway, the same slow, rhythmic tapping, the same empty stare. I assumed it was just genetics. Until one night, I pulled back the old wallpaper while renovating the house. My breath caught in my throat. Behind it, hidden for who knows how long, was an antique mirror, positioned exactly where both of my sons had been trying to walk into. Neither of them ever knew it was there. I ripped that thing off the wall and threw it away that same night. But even now, sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night, I swear I hear that same slow tapping. My son Caleb always had a way of making friends with the strangest kids. One in particular stuck out, a boy named Eli. Caleb had just started a new school and Eli was the first to befriend him. They were inseparable. But then, one day I got a call from the school. Caleb had been in a fight, except it wasn't really a fight. According to the principal, Caleb attacked Eli out of nowhere, struck him over the head with an eraser. But when I asked Caleb, he told me something far more unsettling. They had been playing a game, pretending to fight, like Street Fighter. Eli told him to use the eraser as a special move, so he did. But the moment Caleb tapped him with it, Eli collapsed, screaming like he was really injured. Then he leaned in and whispered, "If you don't pretend like you hurt me, I'll hurt you for real." That night I called Eli's mom, Rachel. She sounded perfectly normal, sweet even. She admitted Eli had some issues, that sometimes he acted like he was someone else. I should have taken that as a warning. Instead, I let Caleb sleep over at their house. Everything seemed fine, until the next morning when I picked him up. He was already outside, waiting by the car. He got in, shut the door, and burst into tears. He told me that in the middle of the night, he woke up to whispering. It was coming from the bathroom. The door was cracked open, candlelight flickering inside. He peeked in. Eli was standing in front of the mirror talking to himself, only he wasn't calling himself Eli, he was calling himself Mr. Grimm. The candle flickered and went out. Caleb shut his eyes, frozen in fear. A moment later, the bathroom door creaked open. The whispering started again, this time right above his head. He didn't understand the words. It didn't sound like English, just this low, hissing murmur right against his ear. Eventually, Eli went back to his air mattress like nothing had happened. Caleb didn't dare say a word. I was horrified. I called Rachel again, demanded answers. She hesitated, then admitted something chilling. They had moved twice before, each time because Eli had been expelled. That Monday it happened again. Eli attacked another student at recess. By the time I tried to call Rachel, the number was disconnected. When I drove to their house later that week, it was abandoned. No moving truck, no sign of a rush departure, just gone. It was like they never existed at all. My mother wasn't normal. Some nights she was fine, other nights she was someone else. One night I had a nightmare. I dreamt she stormed into my room, shaking me violently, screaming in a voice that wasn't hers. I woke up in a sweat, only to have my bedroom door burst open. She was standing there. Same expression, same rage. It was like my nightmare had been a warning. She lunged at me, gripping my wrist, but the moment I screamed, she stopped, stared at me like she didn't recognize me. In the morning, she had no memory of it. Things only got worse. One afternoon, I found her outside, holding a massive snake with her bare hands. She was grinning, but my mother was terrified of snakes. She couldn't even look at them on television. I told her to drop it. She just smiled wider, tilted her head, and whispered, "Take it." I ran inside, locked the door. When I peeked out the window, she was still there, holding it out like an offering. That winter, my church held an overnight lock-in. I was relieved to go. Church was the one place where I felt safe. At 4:30 a.m. there was a knocking. It circled the building. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't an animal. It was rhythmic, intentional. When the pastor unlocked the door, he gasped. Standing there barefoot and drenched in sweat was my mother. She wasn't supposed to know where I was. She was staring straight at me, smiling. She didn't say a word on the drive home. When we arrived, she turned, looked at me, and said, "I was just about to go pick you up from church." She had no memory of being there. She's gone now. But some nights when I wake up, I swear I can still hear that slow, rhythmic